the stakes are higher.
Sure.
And I think, you know, with service based, who the is that? Sorry, our doorbell just. Oh. Yeah. It's probably my acrylic.
How fitting. How fitting.
Oh, I love it.
Oh man, it came full circle.
I'm checking to see. And welcome back to the Riley Black Project. Chris and John.
Hey.
How's it going?
It's going.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I hope by now we should have dropped the bomb.
Hopefully.
It should have been last week.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, you guys know we record ahead. So it
Right.
should be. But
yeah.
Today's guest is a very special guest.
Yes.
We have Rachel with Celebrate You Events. How's it going?
Hey, hi. I'm happy to be here. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Of course.
Thanks for coming on and spending some time with us.
I actually, I put out I was in not like a guest slump, but because of all of the craziness, I haven't like actively been like looking for people.
Well, because we don't know scheduling wise.
Right. Yeah. And so I put a little post up on Instagram and I was like, hey, do you have any like, you know, people that you want to see on the podcast? And one, they exposed something that was lacking because a lot of people, I mean, 90% of the suggestions were people we already had on. And I was like, but it was a good opportunity for me to
that means they're not watching.
It means they're not watching, but I also need to be sharing the old episodes more because now I just share the current episode and that's it.
Right.
So I need to do more of the like, did you see this?
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And so, but it was a good opportunity to like be like, oh no, that was on episode 38. Here's the link, whatever. But Rachel, she messaged me and she was like, me? question mark. Oh my God, it's a great idea because so I met Rachel. Who suggested, who was it?
Mindy?
So
Maybe it's always Mindy.
Was it Emily? No. Was it? No, Emily introduced me to Danielle. I feel like I just found you on Instagram. Maybe?
Oh, even better.
Like back in the day.
I need to go back and like.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
because I was pulling together my very first collaboration for a party. And you agreed to be a part of it.
Yeah. It was such a great idea. It like, especially for a newer, like up and coming business, you know, you have your bearings, you know, like what you're good at or, you know, what you want to offer. And then, you know, it's a way to work with other local vendors and then, you know, get your name out there. So tell them a little bit about like how the collaborations worked.
Yeah. So, you know, at the very start of my journey, I did not have a big marketing spend. And so I thought, what can I do to bring people together and create content, right? Because that's half the battle half the time. And do it where everybody gets a benefit from something. And so I reached out to our local magazine, The Parklander, and I said, listen, if I gather some small businesses together, we take some pictures to showcase a themed party that's relevant for that month, will you run it? As an editorial, I'll write an editorial for it. And they're like, if we have space, we will. And so luckily they had space. And then the next month they had space too. And then after that, they were like, the spot is yours. If you keep, you know, creating beautiful content, we'll put it out there. So it's just evolved from that. And it's been so rewarding because, you know, not only like I said, I get content and, you know, there's no clients. So I actually really get to harness my own creativity.
Right. You aren't limited by what they want or their expectations.
Love my clients are
limiting, but yeah, free range for anyone who's creative is like a dream, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. And also, you know, it's nice for me to like vet vendors, right? So I bring them on board and and obviously, you know, as long as I kind of set the design and the color palette and stuff, but at the end of the day, I'm trying to showcase everybody's amazing talent. And most of the people that I partner with are female entrepreneurs, they're moms, they're hustling, you know, and I just love it. And so, you know, we basically set it up and I challenge them if they don't have anything, I'm like, here's my vision for you. But if there's something you really want to do that like you haven't had a chance to do, now is the time to try it when you don't have a client that you're trying to deliver for, you know? So it's fun and people really embrace it. And they've evolved now to where I actually allow for a networking portion at the end of the shoot. Because as you guys know, entrepreneurship is most often very isolating.
Yes.
And often even at my parties when I have all these vendors coming and dropping off items, it's like, hi and bye. I'm setting up for the party. And so after we do the shoot,
a lot of times we would do it. We'd set up, and then now we're like, the one time I think it was at like your friend's house, and we were all like talking and chatting. We're like, oh, okay, we should probably get out of her house. So yeah, the networking portion is great because it kind of just happens anyway because you're there and you talk about just stuff that you don't get to talk about with the other people in your life who don't really understand that.
Right. So, and there's that solidarity of, we're all in this different legs of the journey, but it's nice to talk to people who are in the thick of it as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It was good time. And then, so the people who participate, they not only get to hopefully be in the magazine and get more exposure for their business. And then, you took a photo of one of my drinksters and I wanted to hire you as my photographer. I'm like, are you for hire? Because you get some it's just some really good photos that might be difficult for you to get for yourself just because one, they're staged. It's a staged party. So it's like doing that stage party, any one of us doing it on our own would be really expensive.
Yeah.
And so, just each person is kind of like, it's like a potluck. Each person.
100%. Yeah.
Piece, and then together it makes a really good marketing.
Yeah. Well, and what's nice is you are responsible for your contribution.
Right.
But I'm bringing together all different small businesses, so this is where you and I meet is in events these days, people are looking for those custom elements, those details specific to their party, So it's so nice to be able to bring people together and learn from each other and it's great. Yeah. But yes, to your point, now I actually have photographers who take way better pictures than I could ever take.
So, yours were pretty good, but
welcome to the revolution in laser engraving. Introducing Lens Digital, the creators of the game-changing Pyburn rotary attachment. With the Pyburn 4.0, you can turn ordinary cups, tumblers, glasses, and more into extraordinary masterpieces.
Looking to engrave niche items or want the functionality of a chuck rotary? Look no further than the Pyburn Grip, Lens Digital's chuck-style rotary. With a range of different sized jaws, you can easily engrave a wide variety of items. All Lens Digital products are compatible with most CO2 and Galvo lasers and were designed specifically for the laser industry. All that paired with the best-in-class customer support, Lens Digital is your one-stop shop for all of your rotary needs.
Transform your laser engraving game with Lens Digital, where makers succeed. Unleash your creativity today.
And don't forget, we are proud Lens Digital affiliates as well. If you're shopping, code Riley Black will take $50 off any order of $600 or more.
Speaking of all things laser, check out Houston Acrylic at houstonacrylic.com for reliable laser tested and laser approved materials.
Made for makers by makers, Houston Acrylic features over 450 styles of acrylic sheets. With over 50 new arrivals being released this month, Houston Acrylic is committed to bringing new and innovative styles to the laser community. My personal favorite is the matte, anything matte, and I feel it's perfect for everything.
Don't forget to save 10% by using our exclusive coupon code TRBP10 at checkout. Get inspired today and visit houstonacrylic.com.
Do it. And so is it the same thing for the photographers? Do they also kind of their time and then they also get to use it as, marketing, I guess, of their work as well?
Yeah. I mean, luckily there are a lot of local small businesses who are just looking to grow. And I 100% have this mentality that there's enough for all of us.
Totally. Yeah.
Right? There's enough for all of us. So
There's a million times where it's like, that's not something I want to do or something I can do.
Yeah.
And I know several other people that I can pass them on to that, can
this is
handle
just
it
it.
for.
I love seeing all the side connections that are made after the collaborations because it's just, it makes me feel happy that I brought them together and that, they're able to help each other, whether it's like a little market sign with their QR on it or stickers or, professional headshots or something. But it's just like, rather than relying on your network or, maybe someone you've used before, this just gives you immediate touch points. And I don't know, people are, all about supporting one another, which is great.
Right. Yeah. So how did you get started? Like, why did you decide to become a party planner? How did all that come about?
Well,
yeah,
me too. I know this one is not the easiest to answer because you're going to get a lot of information on how I ended up getting here. But my background has been in events, mostly on the corporate side. So, gosh, before moving to Florida, we were in Dubai and I was working in sports marketing, and we do product launches and seasonal product ranges and grassroots events and stuff to help obviously generate sales for that brand that I was working for. And then prior to that, I was working at the UN where I did these global conferences for climate change. And I mean, you're organizing venues from abroad. I spent a month down in Durban, South Africa for one of the conferences. Like it was a different perspective. And like the climate change element was out of my realm. It was fascinating for sure. And like super powerful, but, it didn't really enable any creative side of me. It was just like conference after conference, meeting after meeting. I was just planning, but that's like the logistical background of it. And so when we moved here, we have no family. I had no friends, two small kids. They were like 2 and 4.
Right.
And my husband was traveling 3 weeks out of 4. He'd always be back on the weekends, but he was gone a lot of the time. And when you don't have a support system, it was really hard to get back into corporate work. And it was funny because when we moved here, I had every intention of finding a corporate job because that was my
what
path.
you did. Yeah.
Right. But especially having an American passport, I was like, oh, there's no work visa. There's no like all of these things you have to deal with when you live abroad. Yeah. So I mistakenly thought it was going to be easy to find something, and it wasn't. And so I was kind of half looking, and then COVID hit, and I just was beyond like, this is where the universe is like, as hard as that was, there was a reason you didn't find anything because you need to be there, needed to be there for my kids and my husband, and to just make that whole experience as like easy as possible and enjoyable for them as they could. And then as it started, easing up, I was like, I do little birthdays for them. And then some of my friends would ask me to help them out. And so my husband was like, you should do this. You should do this. And I'm like, oh, I have no plans for doing it. I don't want to do a small business all my own. And, it's hard because especially when you're starting out, you're researching, you're scrolling Instagram, you're seeing the amazing established talent that's already out there.
Right.
And you're like, why should I even bother?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I just eventually was like, well, okay, well, why not me?
Yeah.
Right. You got to switch that mindset to just say, why not me? And so that's when I was like, let's go for it. And
let's try it.
And it's, so there's been several times when fear just completely like stopped me in my tracks. And I almost was like, this is too much, especially learning about all the, the back end, because you wear every hat. You wear every hat. And I have a marketing background. So for me, that side of it has been fascinating. It's almost like a case study for me to just and I am by no means an expert because it's hard to stay on top of all of these ever-changing things. It took me a long time to do my first reel.
I remember,
but but anyway, yeah. So it was a slow start, and it just has kind of evolved, and I've just been thankful that clients have been willing to try me out, and
Right.
vendors have been super amazing, and that kind of has just I found my voice, I found my branding. I feel like I'm ticking all the little boxes to help with, credibility. And in my business, it's so much word of mouth,
Right.
and I still have so much more I could do as far as marketing with I've never boosted a post, or I've never paid for I've never
Right.
sponsored a post or anything. And so
Yeah.
no, I should do that.
Yeah.
But at
I
the same
mean,
time,
and it's kind of back and forth because I mean, so I know people who have done them and they've been great. I know people who have done them and they weren't great because it's a whole new beast that you have to learn. It's not just like you make an ad and your first ad is going to be great. It's its
right,
own thing that you need to research on what kinds of ads do best, what kind
right,
of what do you call it? Like the people that you target, like all of those things.
demographic, yeah,
It's its own like
it
thing.
is.
And
And
I
I think
know
that is
even
challenging because you need that time.
to
You need that time to analyze.
and then I mean I also have seen the businesses that have paid $0 in ads and are thriving. And so
Right,
it's a if it's something you want to do or it's a goal of yours, by all means like tackle it, see if you can find someone who's also ran one as well and any advice that they have.
right,
I don't think I've never done an
An
ad. I've
ad.
done a few like paid, like small paid marketing things,
Yeah.
but not really like
Mm.
an ad. The one ad I did in the Laser magazine, that was free because I
Oh,
wrote an
right.
article. But yeah, so I'm not against doing it. I just haven't had time to really, do the research to figure out what a good one would be,
right.
and making sure that I do the best I can so that it's actually beneficial and not just, money
Yes, you're
wasted.
doing it smart. Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree. And I think that you touched on goals or targets or whatever. Again,
Mhm.
being a one woman show, it's like, okay, I kind of prioritized what I
Yeah.
wanted to do this year. And only in October did I launch my website, which is great because I feel
Yeah.
like everyone who has a small business, I saw too many friends get their accounts hacked. You can lose
Oh,
everything.
Right.
It's
yes.
devastating. So
Yeah.
have that landing page that
Well,
you own.
and what happened to me a couple years ago that I've talked about on several episodes was I had started my website, but I wasn't really clear on like what I wanted to offer and where I wanted to go. And so it took me a really long time. And then I went viral for ornaments. And I had like, at first I was like, oh, just tell me what you want through Instagram, Messenger. And in a few hours, I was like, this isn't going to work.
This isn't a good
Yeah.
strategy.
I was like,
Right.
no, this is going to fail horribly. And so I couldn't sleep. And I slept like, I think 3 or 4 hours. And then I woke up and like spent 10 hours of like
Finalizing.
making my website so that it was like good enough to jump on the viral attention.
Right,
And it
yeah.
was great because it was for Christmas ornaments, and it was literally a couple weeks before Christmas.
Yeah.
And so it definitely fizzled out like quicker than I think it normally would have if it was just, especially if it was like a couple months before Christmas. Which was it was good in one sense because I was newly pregnant with a horrible first trimester, and I had literally just cut off orders.
Yeah.
And
Gosh.
she was buying, Kaylee, I think you know her. Maybe she has a store in Coral Springs.
Oh,
I think
Corellia?
yes.
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 Yeah.
So she before she even had Corellia, she went to one of the like craft markets that wow, my brain is like fried. What is the store called?
Karma.
Geez.
Yeah.
So Karma, they would put on a lot of, the like women business, whatever. And because I was not feeling so well, and COVID was still like, it was loosening up, but it was still like, I kept going with it's loosening up, just kidding. Here's a spike again, loosening up. And so I sent him, and it was a female,
nice.
owner.
Girl boss.
Right. He's total girl boss.
I
killed it.
transitioned for a few days.
And then, so I sent him in my place. But anyway, I was getting rid of some of, obviously some of it I made for the event, but I was really just trying to sell off. I was like, it was like it's a success if you come back with nothing. I didn't want him to come back with anything.
Right.
And she bought a lot of them. And then she like went in her car and like showed them all on a TikTok. And then it went like nuts. But the good thing was, even when it fizzled out, I finally had a website set up, and I was able to easily transition that from, selling for that viral thing to now actually using it for whatever I want to use it for. Right. And I'm thankful for that, because, once I needed to pivot, it was super easy to pivot, because the bulk of, the back end stuff of my website was already done. Yeah. So, and it's huge. I mean, like, I know there's many people who are like, very successful with just Facebook and Instagram, but like, it's really limiting in like showing what you can truly offer. Right. It's not good. Like, it's one piece of like selling yourself and like the highlight reel and all of that. Right. But like a website is where you can really get into more, like easily find pricing, a gallery without having to weed through, reels and like whatever,
For sure. And for someone, like me, it's that extra element of credibility, because people will see a Google review, which I only just set up too, like last year.
Right.
So clients, if you've booked me, please leave a review.
Yep.
And then they'll click to just, even if they don't scroll too much, at least it's like, okay. And for me, it also is like, that's where I send people to inquire. Like I need to save some time because I am one woman. Right. So it's like, please just fill in most of these details. I'll still give you a call to discuss everything, but it gives me a bulk of like the nutshell of where you're going or what you're envisioning.
Maybe you're not doing it like on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, because it's really hard to keep all of that, together. Right. Like, oh, wait, where was this customer at? Like which,
and I've lost DMs before. I have no idea where they went on Instagram. So And I also have one for collaborators too, like an intake form. So occasionally you'll see me like, hey, if you guys want to be a part of this, head here, and they can, just say what their dream collaboration would be, and then I can rotate them through. So
So do you have is there any big plans for the rest of the year or next year? Like, where do you see this all going?
I this year. My word for the year has been focus, because I had this feeling, which I'm sure you've experienced as well, of just feeling like there's never enough time in the day. And that feeling sucks. Every day. I hate it. And so this year I've just been like, okay, I've got to get my act together. Let's work smarter, not harder. And so for me, I think I just want to streamline so that I have the capability to pull off grander and more fabulous events. Because I am one person, I don't know that, I can do too many more events unless I hire people, which maybe that's in my future too.
Right, totally, yeah.
But for now, I just want, I want a smooth working back end. I want more of a strategic marketing plan. I have been, I've been submitting, so I do my local editorials, but I've also been featured in a national magazine, which is a huge, exciting,
that one, right?
In Entertain and Celebrate. It's like, and what's so cool when I get featured in those type of magazines, I give credit where credit's due. So
Right.
every single vendor who was a part of that with me is
Yeah.
also in there. And then, not only is that content for me and
Right.
bragging rights for me, it's for all of them. So
Yep.
it's so great. It's just a win-win.
Yeah. I love that.
That's awesome.
I saw Dylan, she shared it the other day and I was like, oh, it's with Rachel. And and I'll see a few of my other friends because I don't know, Emily's never really done one, right? Because she was always too busy. Yeah.
Yes.
And then, but she's worked with Danielle, Danielle, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So I've seen some and I'll see, of course, every time I see like any kind of laser work, I'm like, who's that?
Yeah, who did it? Who did this one? Who did
Who's that? Is that my friend? Do I know them? Do I want to know them? And I'll see a few times I've seen, Danielle, or anytime there's balloon work, I'm always looking to see if it's Dylan. But yeah, it's a fun thing to just see and see how they did it, or like what they did, or like if it's a different technique. I mean, the few that I did with you, I was also able to be creative, obviously go with like your, kind of idea or direction. And then if I had something as well, then I would mention, any ideas. And so her idea, the Olympic party, she wanted the ice cream. They were cupcakes, but like with ice cream cones.
Okay.
And she wanted like a little stand to make them. And I loved that stand. It was so like, it got a lot of
right.
Yeah. And they got like a lot of attention. And I honestly, I wish I could actually, spend more time on like marketing it. Cause it's one of my favorite things that I've made. And then another idea, I think it might've been her idea to do like the cupcake toppers. But then I was like, so who's doing the cake, and can I do a cake topper? Because I wanted to do like a torch.
Okay.
And I did my first pretty detailed. I mean, they were pretty detailed cupcake toppers too, because cupcake toppers are I think 2 or 3 inches tall, and I used 3 different acrylics for a 3-inch piece.
So good. Absolutely. Yeah. Actually, the cupcakes were in cones to look like torches.
Right. Yeah. That's what it was. And then for the cake, which was also another friend of mine. Wow. Danielle. Is it Danielle as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My brain is but she was the one who was doing the cake. And then I did the actual a similar flame. I'm pretty sure I just used that same flame and then altered it a little bit and made it like a torch. But it was, multi-layered. It had like a stick in the back so that you didn't see the normal, on top of the cupcake topper. It was more like a side topper. Whatever.
Yeah. Which is funny because think of how long that was. That was like 2 years ago. And now you're seeing a lot more of that in cakes, like the names, and they're on the front.
Right.
Letters.
Yeah. Hey guys, thanks for watching and listening. If you'd like to support us monetarily now or in the future, here are a few ways.
You can join us on Patreon and reach out to us to run ads on the podcast.
For only $20, by the way.
Only $20.
You could also buy a file from my Etsy shop, some keychain accessories from my website, the course to learn some file designs, or explore one of my partnerships with either Eon or Pyburn.
Yeah, and you can find all those links on our Facebook group. That's the Riley Black Project.
Yep. To support us for $0 a month, you can share the podcast with your laser friends, subscribe to our YouTube channel, interact with our content, share, like, comments. What else?
And subscribe and leave a review on our Apple podcast. And then follow us on social media. That's Facebook and Instagram, the Riley Black Project.
Yes, we appreciate your support so much. We have big dreams of John joining us full time, and anything that you can do monetarily or for free to help us get there, we appreciate it so much.
Attention all laser owners and crafters. Are you tired of spending hours cutting, painting, and assembling laser products? Look no further than Crazy Laser Dad Laser Ready Blanks.
Their high quality blanks are expertly sourced, tested, and ready to use with your lasers. Say goodbye to the hassle and frustration of time-consuming projects and hello to more time creating and selling.
Plus, with their wide selection of items, you'll surely find the perfect blank for all your customers.
So what are you waiting for? Visit crazylaserdad.com today and take your laser crafting to the next level with their laser-ready blanks.
So yeah, it was like it pushed me outside of my comfort zone, and there never really, I mean, not never, but there hadn't been for me an opportunity yet where people were kind of pushing me to that, you know,
Right.
where one, I'd be willing to spend that much in materials for the little cupcake toppers and stuff like that. But it was a good way to, one, get my name out there, but then also kind of like flex, you know,
Right.
like show my skills. And that was fun too, to share in the groups, like, look what I made. It's so cool. It pushes you outside of your comfort zone. So you were worried about coughing, and it's me.
And you.
It's been a while.
I'm loving all the acrylic details that are, you know, coming out these days for parties, like from drink charms to menu signs and the 3D printing on them. There's just so, like, the drink stirs. I mean, they're just the cutest little details.
Well, the menus actually, like on the plates, or the bar signs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's endless. Anytime I can, like, so I made for one of my accountants, she was getting married, and I made her little like not name tags, like place cards for the name, but with their names. And she's like, it then turned into, she didn't have the budget for it, but I really wanted to make them into keychains so that like it can be where they find their seat, but also like now they can actually like do something with it.
I love that.
But it was funny because they were all like sticking them to like their forehead and stuff. They were like playing with them, and they turned into like this thing, which I should post that, because she sent me like a little video montage of them all like playing with their little like name. What was it called? Place cards, I guess. Place cards.
Name card, place card, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, just there's so many fun ways to use acrylic. I've totally become obsessed, and I don't even want to like, I'm like, wood? Who's that? No, I don't want anything to do with that. And oh my
Honestly,
God.
All you have to do is let me know, and I'd love to have you on any future collaborations if you're willing to do something.
Point. I was doing way too much, and she'd like reach out, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, and like the ones that she was doing, like I always had a great time, but it was always like, it was difficult for me to like squeeze it in. And then especially with the kids, and I was pregnant or had a new baby, whichever one, and it was too much at the time. But yeah, hopefully after the big announcement we've already made. Yeah. I'll have more time to do more of that. The fun stuff, and it'll be fun. I'd love to.
You have those creative juices. It's just a matter of having the time and like the space to just let it work.
Exactly. Yeah. And a lot of the acrylic suppliers have come out with some new acrylic.
Ooh.
So there might be a delivery coming today.
That face.
Today. Okay. You all know how I feel about acrylic deliveries.
What's wrong with them?
I was listening to one of your last podcasts, and I feel like you had just opened up some space.
No.
And yet, no
space is opened up.
We'll make more space.
I'll make room. What?
Like I said last time, the acrylic wall. We're just gonna add another shelf to the wall.
There's still more room on that shelf.
You people do not understand. The past two, we took grid paper to map out our new space, and we can speak about this because we've already announced to map out our new space. Whether we do garage, whether we do a shed, whether whatever we need, this and that, blah blah blah. And she's like, I can't fit anywhere. how do we get more room, but I have less room to put it? And she's talking about buying more acrylic.
Acrylic was never the problem. That has its own rack. I can't
either.
It's my addiction. I'm sorry. They came out with some really cool
I understand.
Textured.
So
let's
use some of this acrylic
we're
with
going
something,
to.
and then
I'll hit her
it's
up.
too late. We already have it's coming
I
today.
can think of lots of ways.
Use any of the old stuff.
Yes, I did. So, kind of.
How about you use 5 sheets and you replace it with 5 new sheets? Or
what
10
fun
and
is
10.
that?
Huh?
How about I use 5 and order 10?
If they're always coming out with new things.
Right, but so like I can't make fun new stuff.
So if
I
you
have
can
to order it
you guys
first.
just please go to Riley Black Designs and order some stuff so I can get rid of some acrylic, make some space.
I've gotten 2 orders.
Good. We need like 14 more. She's just gonna continue ordering acrylic, so I need this acrylic to move.
You need to market these cone stands that double, because it's great because they've got the 4 little holes for the ice cream cones, but you can flip it over and it's flat and you can put cupcakes on it.
There it is. And inundate her with any other ideas that she can make stuff out of acrylic, so we get acrylic.
Don't get me started.
So we get new acrylic in the house.
That's a really good idea. You flip it over and you have the top, but then you also have now the holes are on the bottom, so you have the top and the bottom. I can make one of the ice cream stands in the new specialty acrylic I got.
Okay.
There we go.
What time are we at? Oh no, we still have a little more time.
We got time. Yeah. So please buy acrylic because we're gonna build a house out of acrylic.
We could. That could be on my file design list.
No, like an actual house, like a tiny home out of acrylic.
We probably could.
Okay.
But they're small sheets, just 12 by 19 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Individually, they're small. When you group them all together like Megatron.
Are you done picking on me yet?
Huh?
Are you done picking on me?
Are you done buying acrylic?
No.
Okay, so no. It's that simple.
So let's see. What was one of your favorite parties? And have you done anything for anybody like famous yet?
They're all her favorite parties.
Oh, no, stop it.
They're all so fun.
Okay, maybe your favorite collaboration too. That way you don't have to like choose a customer. Because sometimes they come to you with the idea. So this, like, again, it didn't originate necessarily from you. It would have been from them.
Yeah, I've been so lucky in that I actually haven't had any repeat themes. So everyone has been unique and fun. Cool. And then it's like everyone, once I'm done, I'm like, oh, that was so fun. But then I'm already on to the next party. So I'm always like, that's going to be the best one. That's good. So I'm always trying to improve upon the last one.
Yeah.
But I will say so again, working smarter, not harder. I've evolved my collaborations to like we move. And so this year, because last year I did so many, they're exhausting. It takes a lot of work for me to pull them off. And I'm like, I can't, I'm not making money doing these. So let's just like figure this out. So now I actually shoot 2 themes in one day.
Wow.
And then we have the networking portion too. So we hustle. Yeah. So our last shoot, which if you see on Instagram now was a Bloom like launch to summer brunch party.
Nice.
And so when I went into planning it, we did that along with the 4th of July party. And in my head, I'm like, let's do the 4th of July party because, it's thematic and whatever. Right. But I'm so excited about this Bloom party. And what's funny is when we actually went to set up on the day and shoot it, the 4th of July party was awesome. Like, I'm so excited to show you guys what we came up with. Yeah. It's so fun. So fun. So keep your eyes peeled. It'll be coming. But one thing that I was going to ask you guys about being so involved in the, laser industry is this, I've noticed a lot, mostly on the West Coast, as far as event planning, they kind of lead with, and so somewhat in South, like in Miami, but as far as offering like acrylic with the like the 3D printing on acrylic.
Oh, the like UV printing?
UV printing.
UV. Okay. Yeah.
Some kind of printing, which I feel like there are popping up some vendors locally down here that are offering it, but I don't see it as often. Is that
Yeah.
something
Well,
you guys
so
is there a big enough market for it? Because it's kind of a long.
the reason why there aren't so many is because the cost of entry into UV printing is very expensive, like really, really expensive. So I'm not sure about like small format printers. If like you're just a small business and you want to add, the like UV printing to those QR code signs and that kind of stuff. But like from the like larger format, if you want to do any kind of, mass amount of work, they start at 25,000.
Whoa.
So like, us laser owners, we don't blink at thousands of dollars because like, I mean, my first machine was $4,000. My second machine was $11,000. So, we aren't like too scared to, invest in our business. At the same time, 25,000 is a whole new level of investment in your business. And so that's pretty limiting in, obviously the amount of people who do them. Again, I know that like, especially in the UK, I know of a laser owner and she has like a smaller format printer, but I don't know that that's necessarily available here. And then there's a lot of like Chinese manufacturers, and while many of the machines are probably work fine, the support isn't necessarily there or easy to access, because if the support is centralized there, then they're awake and working when we're sleeping typically, or in the evening, and then it can kind of be difficult. Another, like, I guess not really replacement, but another way of printing with acrylic is sublimation, which is a lot cheaper to, cost of entry. I think you can get a printer anywhere from around like a couple $100. But much like UV printing, if you're going to do like 1 or 2 a month, it's not worth the investment, because with sublimation, and I think as also with UV, you have to, like, the machine needs to like be cycling all the time, or you can get like clogs, or the ink will dry out, or it needs to be something that you plan to do regularly, or you kind of have to find excuses to do it regularly. But sublimation is limiting in that it has to be not all materials can be sublimated. So like if you're doing wood, you have to have like a wood that has a specific treatment on it. For if you want to sublimate a t-shirt, it has to be 100% polyester, that kind of stuff. Typically for sublimating on acrylic, it needs to be white, and sometimes you can make it look good on clear. I'm not sure about the other colors. You might be able to do them, and they'll look, the results will vary. Yeah, it'll be more like muted or faded and won't be like vibrant if that's what you're going for. And so, yeah, and definitely it comes with its own kind of look. There are benefits to it too, because if you compare, a lot of us, there's a time and place for vinyl. And it's hard because a lot of times, especially on these signs, it doesn't look as professional and may not have the longevity that you're looking for with vinyl. And people will walk up to a shirt and they'll feel that like and then they immediately like, oh, okay, no, thank you. So it's kind of the same thing sometimes with signs and stuff too. And that's also limiting in that, like, you then have to either choose each color as a different vinyl, or a printed vinyl, which comes with its own, finding a quality printable vinyl is difficult as well. So yeah, that's why there's not a ton. I mean, I'm pretty sure Mindy bought a UV printer, but I haven't seen her post.
I'm going to put her to the test. I know. She told me too, because that's what I was like. I want someone to do this, but it's hard too, because clients have budgets, and so to spend $75 on a bar sign, you're like, that's a special client who wants to spend that much, So we have to find that price point that clients are willing to pay to have
Right.
that elevated, look.
And
Because
that
like
was
you said, there's a place for vinyl and a price point,
Right.
and there's a place for that elevated custom. But
Well, and then a couple things I want to talk to you about budget. So I'm saying it out loud so I don't forget. But then there's also like the expectation of the machine. So as you know, I've printed a couple stickers for you, and I had huge plans for this sticker machine. I want to do stickers, but I don't want one of those huge, large format printers because I would like to be able to do small jobs as well. Especially for like testing and stuff, and like those large format, like if I'm not printing out 100 stickers, it's not like you're wasting your time and money. But I have major OCD, and when I'm printing out those stickers, especially because I spent $3,000 on that machine as well. And what's called an offset around it, the cut line around it, it's not perfectly centered most of the time. And so I can get it to where it's pretty close, but I can only print like 4, 1 or 2 inch stickers on one sheet when it tells you that your capability is up to 12 inches. If I print 12 inches worth of stickers on one sheet, those ones at the top might be centered, but those ones at the bottom aren't. And you have a white border around it, and you're going to notice right away that it doesn't line up. And while it's a lot cheaper than like the bigger sticker printers, I still don't want you to pay 15 cents for a sticker that looks like crap because it's not centered. So there's ways around it, but to me, I don't feel comfortable enough to like market like I can print stickers because it's really limited in what I feel looks good. But yeah, that's another problem with buying the machines. You have these like huge plans and they tell you they can do certain things, and they can, but is the result of that really going to match your expectations and what you're willing to provide to your customers? So, it's
you want to be able to trust the output.
Right. And there's been plenty of times where, honestly, it's probably, it's paid for itself in printing my packaging stickers alone. So when I filed for my trademark and I had to provide a specimen, and it was, my packaging. Well, I hadn't gotten that far yet, and I didn't have like, branded packaging yet. Well, I was able to go home, design something, print it out, and send my specimen for my trademark in the following day. If I had to order that from someone, it would have taken a week. It would have been more expensive. I've changed it a couple times. It's easy for me to change it. I think
it's probably why you changed it, because it's easy.
Because I can. Yeah. I put 3 different stickers on every single package, and they all provide like a different thing. And I print probably at least 100 to 150 stickers a month. And so it's been great for me for that. And on those, it's just a white border. And so you don't notice if it's a little bit off. And even if it is, like, no one's going to be like, oh, her offset is off by 0.02 inches. I'm not buying from her anymore.
Well, and it's you're not selling the sticker. It's your packaging.
The sticker is just the packaging.
Yeah.
Right.
So a little
and
off
like when
here
she's done a couple parties, and it was perfect for that because she didn't want to increase her price too much. And there's ways that I can make it so that either one, you don't notice that it's off, or we make sure that, we design it a certain way so that it isn't off, or that I play into the strengths and weaknesses of the printer.
Of course.
And when you really need cheap ones to add on to, the extra little elements, then it's perfect for that. But actually
perfect for like the custom like favor box stickers.
Right. Yeah.
But I think we spoke about an idea of, I don't know what the theme was, say it was an astronaut theme, like to make, if I had a design for because my whole thing is like keeping everything cohesive.
Right.
If I had a design for my backdrop of little spaceships and rockets and an astronaut, I'd love to offer maybe in the favor boxes a sticker sheet, custom, with like happy birthday, Joe, and here's all the little astronauts and stuff. And I think that's where we were talking a while back about like,
it could work, but it would be a small sticker sheet, and they'd be smaller stickers, because
Right.
I don't want to print more than about 4 inches is where I've found the sweet spot. Even 6 inches, it'll mean that I don't use 1 or 2 of the stickers, and then now that's pointless. So yeah, around like 4 inches by 4 inches or 4¼ by 4¼ you can usually get it like pretty good. And I mean, if we're being real too, let's think about our client. Like the mom maybe notice, or the dad may notice, probably not either.
Probably not
But the JR is not going to give a shit if the offset on doesn't match. He's not going to care.
He's just going to be excited he's got a Sonic sticker.
Right, exactly. Which I can't print because that would be illegal.
I know. I'm just saying, he's more excited about what's on the sticker than
100%.
how it's.
Yeah. I mean, I made him train stickers, and he was in my office like requesting the next 14 different themes of stickers that he wanted. I'm like, oh, okay. I created a man of animals. Never mind. No custom stickers.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, it serves its purpose, and that's probably what I should do. Just market more towards kids, and the kids aren't going to care about them being off a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, we did
but
that.
The kids don't have money.
That's true. Their parents. Well, and that also goes back into what we talked to on a couple episodes before, in that you have to choose which imperfections matter.
Right.
If I'm spending all this time on getting it perfect when they wouldn't have noticed that it was wrong on the first one, it's a fine line between making sure that my product is up to my standards, but not taking it too far in spending all this extra time and money on fixing things that your target customer doesn't care about.
Right.
So you kind of have to find that happy medium.
Yep.
So with party planning, it's kind of like, in some ways I could see that it would be a need. We forgot the fan.
Yeah.
Hot.
Oh.
Sorry. So in some ways, you can see that it would be a need, depending on like, I really need like help, and maybe it's a big party or something like that. But for the most part, it's a luxury. And then I've also noticed especially like wedding planners and party planners, they don't realize how much goes into it. So do you struggle with like the budget and the like, this is how much my services cost, and like their expectations? Because I see Dylan, she posted a lot on like her pages, and like balloon work, you don't understand how much work goes into balloons. You're like, oh, they're just balloons. Not that either, but like they're just balloons, and you blow them up and put them in a pretty, arch. How hard could that be?
I can do that.
Right. And it's like, okay, then you do it, and then you
do it. Yes, for sure.
So, how have you had any difficulties with that, or like what's?
Sure. I mean, I feel like it is harder for people who are like, a little tight on a budget, because obviously what I do provide is a luxury service. Right. But for me, my target demographic is like, she's a working mom who doesn't have time to pull these parties off. And I just position myself as being their wing woman, because, even though I do, the design and the coordination and basically project management of the whole party, what moms bring to the party as well is phenomenal. So I like to say that I'm the wing woman. But what I have done is, I mean, it's taken a couple of years to learn my worth, you know?
Well, and I mean, pricing is difficult with any business. And I can see how, like, I mean, you're mostly pricing your time.
Yes.
So like that can be really difficult, again, to know your worth and know, like, is this worth my time?
Right. Exactly. And also, being a service-based business, it's a lot harder to, sell, I guess, your value. But what I've learned, and this has been such a journey and such like an awakening experience for me, as far as learning what my strengths are, because I'm not a natural salesperson by any means.
Same.
But it's like, listen, if you want a beautiful, like if you look through my feed, I can give you a range of what those parties cost, right?
Right.
So at least people right away
have an idea.
know. And then also on my intake form on my website, I have a minimum starting point. So that even when they get to that stage, if they see that, then they're, they can find someone else who offers something different,
Yeah.
So it is finding those parameters where, you're willing, how much time now, like I've had a couple of years doing this now. I know how much time I put into each party.
Yeah.
I always over deliver because I'm a perfectionist. And so it's really that client who's just willing to like that's what they want, or maybe they like realizing they're, what they don't bring to the table too. Like people are not creative. We work in an environment full of creative people.
Understand that.
Yeah, right. This is it. We're surrounded by creative people. So we think everybody is like that.
Right.
But they're not. They can't, or they just, most of my clients, time is the main issue for them.
Right.
Like they have a vision of what they want, but who has time to
research
Google or Instagram
vendors that are trustworthy? Vendors is the hardest part, honestly. I mean, and that you're doing those collaborations, back to that, it's like a free way for you to vet vendors and see like, how did they show up? Did they show up, on time? Absolutely. Did they provide what I was looking for?
It's almost like
did
an audition.
They over deliver? Yeah, totally. It's like a free audition without having to like risk a real party on, obviously with a collaboration, if they didn't come through, it would still be disappointing and not, make you pull your full vision together. But at the same time, if they let you down for a collaboration, you have time to pivot, and no one would know.
Yeah, exactly.
For a party, if it's like a huge sign or, treats that needed to be delivered and they didn't, didn't deliver, and it's a little, the stakes are higher. Sure. And I think, with service-based, who the fuck is that? Sorry, our doorbell just, yeah. It's probably my acrylic.
How fitting. How fitting.
Oh, I love it.
Oh man, it came full circle.
I'm checking to see.
Okay.
Anybody
waiting for us.
But yeah. So, but no, to your point, for sure, it like, and what I'm no spring chicken. So like for me, I'm going to support people who have a similar mindset and belief to me.
Right.
And so, the people who participate in my collaborations are 100% there, who are helping the conversation to support other people, who are engaging on social media after the fact, who are, sharing it, because like there's so many things that people can do that are free that would help small businesses, engaging, sharing, all of these things. And so it's those women that I'm going to support more.
Right.
And book more regularly because they share the mindset. I've had vendors who have, been apart, but like they kind of walk away as the shoot is taking place. They don't really engage with other vendors. And I'm like, or like you said, they don't deliver what they said they would. And I'm like, oh, thank God this wasn't a client.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Because your reputation almost like relies on them delivering what they promised to you, because like your relationships with vendors, your relationship with the vendors is also what people like purchase.
Right.
It's not only what you can deliver with parties, but the fact that you have great relationships with vendors that deliver on time and deliver the expectations.
Right.
So it's like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of my like selling points is that, if you book a party with me, you're actually supporting. Most of my parties have between 7 and 12 other small businesses that I work with.
That's awesome.
So that's a huge amount of like dreams you're supporting by having this luxury party. And it is, it is a luxury. It doesn't, but I'm here for it. I love celebrations. I love the creative journey. So,
well, and I mean, a huge part in the figuring out your, not the budget, what your price is your target customer.
Right.
And what comes from that. You need to, if you want to create these things, okay, who's your target customer? How much are they willing to pay for that item? And is that enough for the time it takes for you to create that? If not, now it's time to pivot. How can I step up what I'm making so that I can get more money for it? Or like if you're wholesaling, how can I bring this down so that I can get cheaper, per cost items, but I can sell more of them.
Right.
Just kind of doing that tweak, but finding your people is how you're able to find your price and then actually get them to pay it, because the two but it can be, it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it is hard.
It ain't easy.
Yeah.
It is hard to find your people. You're right.
Yeah.
I have some ideas so for me, another goal this year was to start a newsletter. So build my email base, because
huge. I need to get back to that.
right. It's like, I'm like, let's do this before I pay for ads and stuff. Like, this is my next case study.
And it's, from what I've seen, the email list, it's huge. Everyone should have one. And it's a very, very powerful tool. I mean, even myself, the emails have totally gotten me to go look at their site, and I haven't looked at it in months, or I didn't even think about it, or whatever. And it's like, if your Instagram gets hacked, how are you going to contact your customers?
Right.
It's just
followers at that point.
Exactly. And so, it's your backup plan. It's your free ads. It's all of those things. So,
and if down the line you want to, what do they call it? If you want to make diversify your revenue in your stream, like if you want to work with brands, or they want to know, you need to let them know, not just how many followers you have, but like, what's your email base, like how many visits to your site do you have? They want to know all of these points so that you can offer them something of value.
Right. Yeah.
But yes. Also, from my point, locally, because I am, I don't know, I have 2 small kids. I'm often at the baseball fields. Like, I'm managing my house and trying to have a small business. And, my family takes priority, which has been the luxury of having a small business, is that you can squeeze it in wherever you can. But I feel like most of my demographic, they'll probably follow me, but then maybe I don't show up in their algorithm. And so they're like,
or they don't have time to be on social media very much.
Right, exactly. And so that was another red flag, get an email newsletter going. And I personally only have time to do once a month. So I do a newsletter once a month.
It's better than zero.
Right? It's like, you know what, for me, this works. I can hand it, do once a month.
But then once you get comfortable with that once a month, it'll then be easier to maybe I can do this bi-weekly, or maybe I just do the newsletter once a month, but then I send some kind of, look at the parties I did this month, and that's all that the email is, or what I mean? There's ways that you can increase that once you get that down and get comfortable with it, and just grow it from there. You just got to start.
You do. And you can't let fear hold you back, because what I've realized is that our very first Valentine's Day collaboration, where I wrote that editorial, I was so afraid of what I wrote. I dropped out of honors English. It's laughable how much I have to write.
Honors English,
right?
I had no plans of being a journalist, and yet here I find myself doing monthly newsletters, doing blog posts, and writing monthly editorials.
Right.
It's like, so I was so fearful of submitting, thinking, oh my gosh, I've said something to offend someone, or all of the things, like my grammar's not right. All of these things.
Nowadays, it's you can
doesn't take much.
And you could just not know. You don't know yet, and you could unintentionally do that. And so what happens to us overthinkers is we're like, oh God, like, is there something that I didn't know that I included in there? Yeah.
But at the same time, I will say that people's memories are short, and stuff like this moves so fast that there's no way that they'll even remember
what you wrote. Yeah.
What you wrote that far ago.
I
So
really remember what I made. I think I made.
it was
I
like
made a sign,
puzzles.
a puzzle
You know
sign.
what I'm going to do? I'm going to send a picture of our very first
Oh my
collaboration.
Yeah.
And then I'll put it next to like because we did a Cinco de Mayo one.
Oh, I loved that one.
I love that one too. And then we did Olympics, and the very first one was like the puzzle pieces of my heart or something for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
But like one thing that we often forget to do as small business owners is just take a second to pat yourself on the back for how far you've come.
Yes.
I mean, if I look at my work from 2 years ago,
oh man,
it's shocking, you know, but I started and it was like
paid for that. Like, but it
right.
was the best you could provide in that time. And often because we're still learning pricing 2 years ago or whatever, our price was hopefully fitting our current skill level. You know what I mean? And the price that we're charging now, it better be more. And it should then more closely align with your current skill level that has obviously no one starts. I mean, there's some people, you know, like who are, you know, like artists without any effort. You know, there are those people, but that's very rare. Most people, like your first several years are going to suck. And then then after that, even if you don't like suck anymore, your skills are going to continue to grow as you work. And
you streamline certain things, you find new
3
techniques.
years ago, your work could be like, you know, way worse or not as good as it is now. But 3 years ago, you could still be better than that person who just started or
and
whatever.
It can also be that your work stays the same, but you can create faster, 10 times more than you were back then because you learn tricks and tips to streamline your production. So maybe the work doesn't change, but the amount of work that it takes to create that changes.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And that's honestly what I've seen the most is, you know, I created some pretty badass things early on, but the time it took me compared to the time it would take me now is where my skills have led to, you know, it's that story of, it's Picasso, you know, she walks up to him and says, draw me something on a napkin. You know, it took him 5 minutes and he said, you know, $2,000 or I don't know what. And she's like, $2,000, it took you 5 minutes. And he's like, yeah, it took me 35 years for it to take me 5 minutes. So, you know, it's just all of that goes into it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure. So if people want to see some of your parties or want to,
hold on, let's ask her the question.
Oh,
then we'll get to how we
she comes. Okay.
So, I mean, you probably already mentioned, we've mentioned several like good talking points, but do you have either ones we've mentioned or that we didn't mention? Is there any advice that you have to a new or struggling business owner, party planner, you know, whatever? What is something you wish you knew when you started?
I mean, I think we did touch on a lot of them. I would just say, just start. Don't let fear stop you because someone's always going to be better than you. Someone is going to be worse than you too. But like, just start, you know? I would say like maybe to the small business owner who's like struggling or lacking in motivation or something right now, because it is hard to keep it going, is just as soon as I shifted my mindset to appreciate the journey for the journey instead of thinking, oh, you know, I do all this hard work, I should be here. You know, just focus on the now and appreciate this stage of it because, you know, that's where you go back and allow yourself to celebrate the small wins or the small achievements or the, you know, those moments. And, you know, we also touched on goals. So as far as motivation, I would just, you know, write out your goals.
Huge.
The SMART, you know, method so that, you know, what is it again? I actually wrote it down so that I would specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals. Because and choose someone to help you be accountable. Because you can write them out and just be like, oh, they're still there.
No one saw that.
Find someone in your industry. Like I have a party planner friend up in Seattle, and we touch base every couple months to just be like, okay, where are you on your goals that you set for this quarter? You know,
right.
So I would
an
say
accountability partner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it helps.
Yeah.
Accountability buddy.
Yeah. Speaking of starting, you'll be you'll be starting
Yeah.
very soon.
Yeah, starting. I mean, it's already started.
Right. But
It's
like
just
really like,
dedicate more
Mhm.
time and energy into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you need anybody remotely to edit any, videos for your website or social media, we know a guy.
Ooh,
So-
awesome.
Where can people see your stuff and possibly reach out there in the South Florida area?
So my website, celebrateyouevents.com. On Instagram, I'm celebrate.u.events. And I, like you, Crystal, I hit like the toggle for it automatically to post on Facebook. So I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
it's like Celebrate You Events, maybe 2020. I don't know 100% what it is.
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yep.
So
But,
search for
yeah,
Celebrate You Events.
Yeah.
CelebrateYouEvents.com. Thank you so much for having me, you guys.
Thank
Thanks
you so much
for being on and-
sliding into my DMs and offering yourself up, because it was a great suggestion. I'm kind of sad that I didn't think about it, because I remember our first collaboration, and I posted in my laser group, and I was just your idea to do that was just so good. And I highly recommended, everyone in my laser groups, like, if find someone who's maybe doing the same thing. If not, maybe you can be that person who can, get everybody together, do a stage party. Now you all get some marketing photos and content, and you don't have to spend all of that to make it happen.
It's a win-win
so,
for everybody.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank
Cool.
you guys.
Perfect. So thanks for being on. And for those of you watching, stay tuned for our life update coming up next.
All right.
And we're back.
Yeah.
Thanks for sticking around.
Yeah. That was a good one. They're always good ones.
Yeah, they're
not
always good
always,
ones,
maybe, but there's probably some ones.
So this life update is kind of it's a little hard to do because so this is the last one in the studio. In this studio here. By the time this airs, we would have been moved into our new house up in Sebastian.
Yeah.
We would have announced last week with Beth, our realtor.
Right. It's hard because we're kind of recording these out of order. And so it's like we're recording this one
so
before.
To pull the veil back, we're recording Beth's episode tomorrow. So we don't know how that goes. First. But it's going to air before this one.
Yeah.
And then I still have to edit Shane's.
Right.
Which you would have hopefully already seen.
Right.
So if you can see, the math in our head is kind of hard to do.
Right.
But this will be the last one in this episode, in this studio space.
Oh man.
And the next ones might not look a little rough, but it won't be as pretty.
No,
for a little bit.
So this will always be here.
Yes, this will be here.
Thankfully, this was the largest investment
so far now
in the studio.
Right.
And so this is easy to take with us.
Right.
Like the mics will be the same.
Mm-hmm.
This will be the same. The chairs will be the same. I plan to buy these panels again. We just don't know how we're going to set them up and where exactly.
So
we keep going back and forth of do we put it all in the garage? Do we put it in a shed out back? Do we put the studio in the extra bedroom for now?
Right.
And I kind of don't want to do that because I really want the extra bedroom.
I'm thinking next week's episode is probably going to be in the extra room.
Probably.
You're probably going to see us in the room.
It legit might be from our kitchen island with all the chaos in the background.
Or we'll move back to the couch, but she doesn't like that angle. Who knows?
I don't. It doesn't look so good.
But yeah, so stay tuned to see what next week's episode is going to look like as far as backdrop. But we'll be here. We'll get you another episode. We'll stay true. I mean, I work long nights to get these done sometimes because of other projects.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff. If
it's really exciting.
If you're a patron, we appreciate you.
Yes.
You guys literally, I mean, you make the difference. The fact that you guys are willingly sending us, willingly allowing automatic withdrawals from your accounts each month. It helps
support.
And you're our motivation to make it so that the next studio looks just as awesome, if not better.
Right.
And, it might take us a little bit, but, we never really thought that we would leave this one. We wouldn't have spent all of this money on the studio if we thought we were going to leave.
Right.
I mean, basically a year. It's literally almost a year
also,
later.
Thanks to all the subscribers on YouTube. If you're not subscribed, subscribe now. And just and honestly, just everyone in
Yeah.
general, whether you're a Patreon, whether you're a subscriber,
Yeah.
Whether you've listened to us since the beginning or you just found us now.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening.
Yeah.
And I mean, we wouldn't keep doing this if we didn't get the feedback, if we didn't get the numbers, if we wouldn't be doing any of this.
Well,
so
I
thank
mean,
you guys.
just continue to support us because we kind of
we need all the supports now.
We need it now more than ever. Like we've always needed it, but we really need it. So check out like all of the affiliations I have because I love them. It's
that's right.
Like so Eon,
Lens Digital.
I'm now a Save a Cup affiliate. I love them. That's where I get 95% of the tumblers that I use on my Pyburn in my Eon laser.
See how it all comes full circle?
And then, obviously file sales. I'm going to that's one of my goals for the rest of the year is to get back to providing more files. Check out some of my old ones. They all still, live on. The course, if you're looking to, to learn how to make your own in silhouette and keychain thingies, obviously, like those are all my babies. So if you support any of those avenues, like we greatly appreciate it, and it makes
you can start
a difference.
seeing more stuff on physical products.
Yes.
And on Riley Black Creations. We're gonna up that. If you have any video editing needs, Riley Black Media.
All the things. All things Riley Black is what we're going to be focusing on.
It's all going to be Riley Black umbrella.
So it's a huge, exciting move for us, but it's sorry, Barbie, it's fucking terrifying. So
sorry, Barbie.
Every time I cuss now, I think of her daughter.
There's
but
it is terrifying, but it's also very exciting. And the time's come.
It's
to
time.
Make the move.
It's time to jump off that cliff, as Steve Harvey says.
So this is the first studio, so it's hard.
I'm sad. I'm like I love it. I love watching the videos back. I love that, the vision of it. It was even better than I pictured it, and so
which means the next one's going to be even better.
I hope so. If not, at least like this in just a different house.
Exactly.
That looks a little different because the shelves are on that side instead of this side, or something like that.
Right.
So I'm excited to create a new one there, and we have a base of what we know, looks good.
Right.
Ryan, I am going to attempt to cut your sign before we even move because I don't know how long I'll be without a laser.
Hopefully not long, because we need that laser up and running.
This is very true. And if we're recording on our kitchen island, I want to have Ryan's sign right there. Because I mean, I can't even believe that someone had enough faith in us to not only be a patron, I think for a couple years now, but to invest that much into the studio that we are sadly leaving, and he didn't get to have his sign in it. But anyway,
it's all right. The next one's gonna be bigger and better.
It is.
So
it is, and he doesn't have to pay any more for that.
It'll be in there.
He's already invested. So
So hopefully the move went well.
Yeah. Pray for us.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. We're in the new house.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't even.
Yeah, I don't.
We got to get our shit together. We got a lot of fucking packing to
we do that. We got a lot of packing to do, and at the time that they're listening to this, we got a lot of unpacking to do when this airs.
Yes.
Yeah. So cool. Let us get to it, and it's been another great episode of the Riley Black Project with Crystal and John.
Bye.
Maybe we're all done.